Welcome back. You're watching Big Deal, and I have with me AION Capital's Utsav Baijal. Utsav, so good to have you on CNBC TV 18. So you have managed to, succeed in buying out one of the dirty dozen companies in the IBC process. Monetis Path, you backed JSW. Given this experience, are you going to put your money behind more IBC cases? Are you looking at more? What is your strategy there?
Right. So I think the first experience for us in Monet has been a very good one. I think government has repeatedly intervened to make the process easier for foreign capital to come in. So it's been overall a very good experience. It took us a little bit longer than we expected, right. But I think we should not expect anything faster, given that it is a new process. So all good on that front. I think because of that success and because we've worked through the nuances of not only the process but also the courts, I think increasingly we are dedicating more resources to look at that space. As you know, other than the 30 dozen, you have the naughty 40 or whatever the next set of cases which are going to get referred or have the potential of being referred. So our teams are slowly evaluating those opportunities, looking at how we can play. We are currently in the process of another 2-3 cases which are in IBC at the moment. Right. I can't talk about them, but it is an area of focus for our fund.
Any particular sectors you're more interested in? Steel is what you invested in. Yeah. And are you also going to back more promoters like you backed JSW in your future transactions?
Yeah. So in terms of sectors, again, steel, power, textiles, are the three which account for 80-90% of the stress. And then if you look at the bottom 20, you still have telecom, some auto components which you can look at. So the area is very wide. We're not focused specifically on one sector. Certain sectors like textiles are more difficult for foreign firms to look at because we don't have international expertise, but all the other sectors we're looking at. In terms of partnering, we found the partnership model a good way of getting operating talent and support in cases where you don't have depth of talent in the industry in general, or it requires a very large operational turnaround, as is the case with Monet. So again, we'll have to do it on a case-by-case basis. I don't think you can have a philosophy saying, I'm only going to do it with an operating partner. But at least our view is that we are going to see more of partnerships than ones where we'll sort of look at it on a standalone basis. And that may be with an international strategic who wants to have a local team on the ground, who has expertise in this process to partner with.
Another thing that I'm really looking at, Utsav, is that there's a huge pipeline of probably deals which are also in the play ahead of the IBC. The companies which don't want to get into the IBC process are proactively coming on in the deal market. Are you seeing those kind of assets, and what is the theme playing out there?
Yeah, so the theme there is very simple. I think for the first time there is a calendar set or a deadline set that if I don't resolve it before I default or get put into NCLT, I could lose the company. Right. So both the promoters and the banks are seeing that there is a deadline in place, even before the NCLT deadline, to transact. Historically, we've spoken to a lot of companies which were either in CDR or post-CDR, and we could never get the banks and the company to come up with a fair deal for the third-party investor. Right. Now we are seeing that. Again, in the power sector, the Supreme Court has stayed all the cases going into NCLT, but in the interim, now increasingly some of the banks are trying to see if we can use this interim period to resolve some of those cases.
So those power assets are coming up on the block, and that could be
They may not come on the block, but there may be the need for equity infusion for a restructuring to take place. So in these cases, I don't think the banks are going to look at this to sell the asset because they'll wait for the NCLT for that, but they might do a restructuring, get some external capital, and have the partner and the sponsor and the promoter collaborate with that asset. So those kinds of opportunities will come in pre-NCLT. Post-NCLT, then it's a matter of change of control, right? Because of 29A. So that's a different type of deal.
What about the NBFC space? That's the hot topic of discussion. You have some exposure. You had bought one of the assets as well. So how are you poised in such a situation? What will be a strategy? Consolidate in a time like this or be cautious?
A very good question. I think it's too early to say whether we should be going in deep or remain cautious on the sidelines. Our first reaction, of course, is to defend what we have. Luckily, our business, which we bought, which is the G Capital business, is doing very well, is very healthy, has no liquidity issues. We, in fact, had drawn on some lines a few months back, so there's no issue there. Question now is for us, can we use this opportunity to buy a book from somebody else to provide them liquidity, or look at this opportunity to merge with somebody else? But I think it's too early to say. I think we are still trying to figure out what is going to happen. I'm starting to hear some rumors about some redemption pressure being put on mutual funds. Is that going to make things worse or not?
It could have a cascading impact.
It could have a cascading effect. Again, the government has stepped in. I think the fact that ILFS situation has been at least controlled, maybe not contained yet, but there is some focus on it, may have averted a bigger problem. But again, I think we have to wait and watch. But we tend to be very opportunistic in style. Strategically, we're very, very committed to the country and the sector. We think there's a lot of growth to be had. So we are going to see if this is the time to, as you said,
so strategically you are looking at expanding your NBFC this time or not, that you're not sure?
Correct.
Okay, thanks so much, Utsav, for joining us.
Thank you.
So with that, it's a wrap on Big Deal here from Hyderabad in the ISB campus. Thank you so much for tuning in.